Today I want to talk about tips for buying furniture. Whether you're buying from a thrift store or yard sale or just going to look at used furniture, there's some things you need to look out for that are really important when it comes to redoing your piece. The first thing is, do you have any missing pieces? This table has these little wood pieces that fill the holes, and that is a missing piece. So you have to think, anything that's missing, is it something that you can replace? There's another one missing. Is it something you can replace? Is it something you can put something else in its place? Or in this case with these, you could, if you're going to paint this, you could pull these other plugs out and just fill all these holes. But that is definitely a missing piece that needs to be considered. The other thing, this table is a great example for things to look out for. A lot of furniture that has been stored has spider egg sacs. Most of the time they're empty. Sometimes they are not. I have never seen baby spiders come out, but I'm sure the day will come. Some spider egg sacs don't hatch, but I think all of these have. But you want to get rid of this stuff as soon as you can. It is on a lot of used furniture that has been stored, because things that sit around tend to attract spiders. The other thing on this table is that it has been stored in a barn or outside, somewhere that had probably a dirt floor. The very bottom of these legs is rotted. So if it has this much rot, this is not something you want to keep and use. For this, you could actually shorten all of the legs by an inch or so, and you would have a table with no rot. You can see how it starts to split the wood. I have had pieces of furniture with a little bit of moisture in the legs. That does not matter. This is even rotten enough to where a little bit of it is actually missing and it starts to split. So when this table is sitting upright, if you're looking at this table at a yard sale, it doesn't look like it has very many problems, but it does. Another thing to look for is something that looks like this. There are bugs and worms that burrow into wood. I think that's what this is, but you need to check all around the table for this, or your furniture, whatever it is you're buying, and look for evidence of bugs. I would say whatever was there is no longer there, but it's just something to consider. If I was going to keep this table, I would dig some of that out and fill it and sand it down and paint the table. This is a thrift store buy, and it is missing a piece right there, and it has, I'm not sure what that is. It's either been chipped off or chewed off by a dog or a dog. Same thing there. So if you are a little bit handy with Bondo or wood putty and you are painting this piece, you can kind of patch this up a little bit and sand it and make it look really good without much effort and without any experience. So those are things you can fix if you're willing to work with wood putty or Bondo. You want to check for sturdiness and see if your furniture is wobbly. In the case of this cabinet, it is quite obviously wobbly. You can even move this leg. So what you want to do is look underneath. A lot of tables and chairs have bolt-on legs. So this loose here, you can see that these bolts in here, or these screws, can easily be turned and tighten this table leg up. So if it's wobbly, see if it's something you can use the screws and hardware that are on it to fix. There are some things that has hidden hardware and hardware you cannot get to tighten down loose parts just because of the way the table was made. There are some things, like if you have an old wobbly chair, there's something called Chair Tight that is a glue that's really thin and has a tiny nozzle that gets down in those little cracks and makes your furniture not wobble. So those are the two solutions for wobbling furniture. That fixes most things. On the back of this jewelry cabinet, you can see it has the back duct tape onto it. But this is an easy fix. It's just missing the nails that go in these holes. So I'm going to replace those nails. I'm going to use a slightly larger nail than what was in there before, because if you use the same size nail, it will probably pop back out. You can also put I put super glue in nail holes when they have popped out before, and that seems to help hold those in. So that is an easy fix. I come across drawers in dressers or tables all the time that have missing or mismatched hardware. So you have to think, when you find a piece, if the knobs that are missing, if you can find something to match what's on there, and a lot of times you can't. So you have to consider whether that will be a problem if you have mismatched knobs or not totally matching knobs, and then if that is a problem, how much will the knobs cost to replace all of them. Every piece of furniture, chairs, tables, dressers, sofas, everything has a protective piece on the bottom of the legs or whatever touches the ground that keeps it from scratching your floor. Oftentimes furniture will be missing these things, so certainly nothing to keep you from buying furniture. But two ways to replace them are the felt pads, which are peel and stick, and then the furniture glide tacks, just nail right back in. So very cheap fix. Just make sure before you put used furniture on your floor that you have checked this and replaced them, because it will scratch up your floor or carpet quickly. Pull all the drawers out. This one slides out nicely, and it is level as it comes out. This one drops when it comes out. So what that means is that there's a little piece you're going to need to replace underneath. This is what the drawer guides look like. This is about a $4 piece that you can get at a hardware store. That's what keeps the drawer on the track when you pull it out. It keeps it from dropping down, and it keeps it from falling out. This is the table with no guide on it, so it is going to fall out and drop down when you pull it out. So easy fix. Make sure when you pull out your drawers, they come out relatively easily. If they stick a little bit, it is not that bad of a fix. You can usually put wax along the rails in the edge of the drawer and fix that. If it's sticking a lot, look at the edges, the inside of the drawer, and see if there's anything sticking out that should not be sticking out. Sometimes this part will be pushed out a little bit this way, and you can knock it back in with a rubber mallet and put a little glue on there to solve the problem. Sometimes you can sand a little bit where it sticks. We're sticking here, just sand that a little bit, and that works. So most drawer sticking problems can be fixed. Some of them are obviously bad when you try to open it. If it really, really sticks, it might not be so much as an easy fix, but most of them really are an easy fix. Oftentimes an older dresser will have this bottom, this is the bottom of a dresser drawer. Sometimes this little wood right here has popped out of this crack and it's sagging, and that is also not so bad of a fix. A lot of times you can put that back with wood glue, which is what I've already done with this one. If the drawer is sagging or sticking, pull it out and look what's underneath. This is the rail that holds the guide, and sometimes these are missing. And if they're missing, you either have to find a way to replace it, basically. So you either have to know how to do it or know somebody that does. And it's not that hard of a thing if you have a little bit of skill and woodworking tools, but a lot of people don't. So just make sure that's there, and if it's not, make sure it's something you can deal with. If you have a loose tabletop, most tabletops are attached with what they call pocket screws. This is a small table, but these screws in the middle of the sides of this table are what screws the tabletop down and holds it tight. So loose tabletop, just look for these screws. When you're shopping for furniture, you will often find a combination of real wood and fake wood. This table has real wood legs and supports, and the tabletop is made from something artificial. I have no problem doing this type of furniture. I do scuff sand the top to make a rough surface even when using chalk paint. So if you're doing regular paint, you have to scuff sand it or sand it and prime it and paint it. If you're using chalk paint, scuff sand it and do your chalk paint process. For whatever reason, most of the marble top pieces that I buy, the marble is loose in the top, so it will fall out. If you tilt it or carry it wrong, it's going to fall out and break. It originally came with clips that you can replace. You can order them online, but marble comes right out, so it's highly breakable and you have to be very careful with it. If you have cracks in the seat of a chair like this, these can pinch your skin, so make sure the chair doesn't move too much when you sit in it, and nothing wrong with using wood filler and redoing this chair either. You can just fill in these cracks and redo it in wood, or you can fill it in with Bondo and do it in a chalk paint. If you're shopping for a headboard, it's important to know that most headboards bolt to a standard bed frame that you can find just about anywhere. Amazon, eBay, Walmart, bedding stores, and thrift stores. Queen and full-size beds usually fit on the same headboard. This is for a full-size bed, and these are for a queen-size bed. Some headboards may have a slot that would be about that long that you could hook a bed frame into. So you can find in a thrift store a bed frame that hooks in there and it's just the frame. And if you have a headboard and a footboard, you can find rails to fit that too if you spend some time in thrift stores, or just go online and order them. This dresser is missing a lot of pieces right here, and this is what some of it used to look like. So what I'm going to do is take the rest of these off, scrape it and sand it till it's smooth, and then I'm going to come back with a wood onlay. I got this from eBay. This one might be a little big, but I'm going to put a wood onlay on it, maybe a little bit smaller than this. The last thing I want to talk about is veneer. Veneer is a thin wood covering that is glued onto wood that is not as good to make it look like it's all good wood. So this is what it looks like when the veneer starts to peel off. You can see it's a really thin piece of wood. If you're painting your furniture, you can fill this in with Bondo or wood filler and sand it flat. If you are doing a natural wood finish, you would have to replace this whole sheet of veneer. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and check back often. I put up new videos all the time. And here are a few of my pieces that I have found, restored, and painted. Thank you. Have a nice day.